Yeah. So today we are going to continue with yes, you can put the videos off. Today we are going to continue with yesterday's lecture and we are going to take it a bit ahead. Okay. But before that, before we begin our lecture, I want you people to watch a video, a small video, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Yeah, let me share my desktop. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just give me a minute. Huh? It's
Marriage and education.
so here it is. Huh?
Education. Woman is to man as the slave to the master, the manual to the mental worker, the barbarian to the Greek. Woman is an unfinished man, left standing on a lower step in the scale of development. The male is by nature superior, and the female inferior. The one rules and the other is ruled, and this principle extends of necessity to all mankind. Woman is weak of will and therefore incapable of independence of character or position. Her best condition is a quiet home life in which, while ruled by the man in her external relations, she may be in domestic affairs supreme. Woman should not be made more like men, as in Plato's Republic. Rather, the dissimilarity should be increased. Nothing is so attractive as the different. The courage of a man and that of a woman are not, as Socrates supposed, the same. The courage of a man is shown in commanding, that of a woman in obeying. As the poet says, silence is a woman's glory.
Okay. Done?
Yes, sir.
So can someone among you throw a bit of light on what you just heard? And who do you think were we talking about? किसने लिखा होगा ऐसे?
Sir, it's Aristotle, right?
It's Aristotle, book 1, Politics. Okay. But here, like this video is based on Will Durant's The Story of Philosophy. It's one of the like most famous texts of philosophy, isn't it? And in the part on Aristotle's Politics, marriage and education starts with this part. Okay, so what do you think about this 1 minute quote from Aristotle?
I feel that it encapsulates this dichotomy of man and woman and their constructed gender roles. And while the man is always given the supreme position, a woman is compared to like so this particular analogy between the Greek man and the barbarian. Now she never it, it it's always the man who comes first, then as compared to the man who is the woman. That is how it was being presented everywhere. And somewhere it is I would say on the same lines, uh, regarding how women are viewed to be, or rather how ideal women are supposed to be, somewhat like that, because they are supposed to be passive, silent. So that is what it highlighted, I think, for me.
Okay, someone else? कोई और? Yeah, yeah, go
The
ahead.
roles assigned to man and woman, man always been the dominant one, the one with brains and like decision making qualities, and women always be because they are irrational, they are like they should be silent. That's it, I get.
Okay. Do you know what Aristotle is doing while writing this? That woman is an incomplete man. The character of man lies in commanding. The character of woman lies in obeying. What's he trying to do?
Sir, I think he is trying to establish the dominant position of the man clearly. This this analogy, or not analogy, but this role of being the commander, like the decision maker, the one who's in the commanding position. It's I think more glorified rather than the part where one is obeying, because for obeying you may not require your rational capabilities, would you would just obey.
Yeah, but philosophically speaking, what is he doing? That is a feminist perspective. You are telling, what you are telling me is a feminist reading of Aristotle, isn't it? So what is he doing philosophically? Anyone? He's trying to ontologize the difference between man and woman. One is when we say that man and woman are different because the society makes them different. That starts with the second wave of feminism. That starts majorly with Simone de Beauvoir, whom we are going to read in our next credit. That starts with her when she says that woman is not born a woman, she becomes a woman. Okay, and there she says that it's not just that biology is not important. A woman's biology is not important. Women's biology is important, but the society makes the biology of woman as a pretext. This is the word, pretext, for carving a woman out of her. Okay. So biologically, it's only a woman who can give birth to children. So that is usually used as a pretext for gendered identity of the woman, for turning her into a woman. Aristotle is not doing that. Aristotle, on the other hand, quite opposite to what Simone de Beauvoir argues, that society is responsible for this gender identity, for this subordinate role of women, etc. On the other hand, what Aristotle tries to do is he tries to ontologize the difference. He tries to bring it out from something, from his metaphysical project, okay, which cannot be changed. Okay, it's called as naturalization because you cannot change nature. Okay, you cannot change the basic character of anything. Okay, if a stone is hard, it's its ontological characteristic. समझ में आ रहा है? It's basic characteristic. It's basic characteristic for a stone to be hard. You cannot change it. Okay, Aristotle is somehow trying to do a similar thing while dealing with the difference between men and women. समझ में आ रहा है? He is trying to make it into a difference that is natural. That's a natural difference. That's a fundamental ontological difference. The being of a woman is ontologically different from the being of a man. It cannot be changed. If you go following Aristotle, then the basic premise of feminism is false. समझ में आ रहा है? Then it can't go ahead. Are you able to get it? Because if there is nothing that can be changed, so you can't go ahead. Okay. Are you getting it? Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
समझ में आ रहा है? Najmuddin, are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
yes, sir.
On your screen, we have the gendered interpretations of philosophical concepts. We'll do Aristotle, but we have to do Aristotle deeply. It is just that we are trying to understand the relationship between feminism and history of philosophy. Okay. Yesterday we tried to do it, start it. Today we are going to continue it. Someone read the first paragraph. Now I'm going to show you how Aristotle makes this ontologization of the male-female dichotomy possible. आ कहां से रहा है? जो एरिस्टोटल अपनी पॉलिटिक्स में कह रहा है, जो मैंने आपको सुनाया है, उसका असल में सोर्स क्या है? What's the philosophical resource for Aristotle to say that? Let's read it. Okay, go ahead.
If we consider Aristotle's theory of hylomorphism,
Wait, what hylomorphism is? Does anybody among you know Aristotle's theory of hylomorphism? No? नहीं?
sir, it's basically that a thing is made up of form and matter.
Okay, good. Someone else? कुछ और ऐड करना चाहेगा? Good, good, good.
And sir, for Aristotle, unlike Plato, the form and the matter are like within the same thing. There is no other world like Plato conceived of it. Whatever form it is there, all the forms are there in the particulars
In
themselves.
itself. That is why hylomorphism in Aristotle is also defined by calling it potentiality and actuality. He argues that the form is actually potentiality and the thing before us is its actuality. Okay, so if I give a very bad example, not a bad example, this is very important for feminism. So a girl actually is a girl, but potentially she is a wife. Are you getting it? So this is Aristotle's hylomorphism, that there are two ways and two principles in everything that exists in this world, and both of these reside in the thing itself. Okay, and the one is the real that lies in front of you, that is the actual thing, that's the matter that you can touch, that is tangible. Okay, but potentially it can become anything. Okay, potentially it can become, it has the possibility to become many things, and that's its form, that's the form it can take later. So the actual thing is in Aristotle understood as being matter. Are you getting it? The matter, and the potentiality of it is later on identified with form. Clear? इस पे तो
Yes,
लेक्चर
sir.
नहीं दे सकता ना मैं. Clear हुआ?
Yes, sir.
So understand that in Aristotle's theory of hylomorphism, there is a dichotomy between matter and form, and matter can also be known as actuality, and form is also known as potentiality. This is his metaphysical definition of the nature of things, where he argues that there are two principles in each natural body. Now, how do we connect it with feminism? Let's go and see. Okay.
If we consider Aristotle's theory of hylomorphism, we find a connection between form and being male, and matter and being female.
This is something which we start with. Okay, so this is the feminist interpretation of Aristotle, that if we go into the Aristotle's metaphysical project of hylomorphism, we figure out that the dichotomy of form and matter is also gendered. Form is usually identified with being male, and matter is identified with being female by Aristotle, and then we explain it. Okay.
That is, we find that matter and form are gendered notions in Aristotle. So should I continue?
Yeah, continue.
By a gendered notion, we mean a notion that is connected either overtly or covertly, either explicitly or metaphorically with gender or sexual difference.
Now that we have been reading Aristotle, okay, जहां से भी पढ़ा है वहां तो दिखा नहीं कि ये मैटर एंड फॉर्म जो है, जो ये डाइकोटमी है, जो ये मेटाफिजिकल डाइकोटमी है हाइलोमॉर्फिज्म का थ्योरी में, वहां ये दिखा नहीं कि यहाँ पे मैटर फीमेल सेंट्रिक लग रहा है और फॉर्म मेल सेंट्रिक लग रहा है. So there is a clarification. So by gendered notion, when we argue that male is male centric, matter is male centric, and matter is female centric, and form is male centric, and that both of these concepts are gendered concepts, or as if gendered notions, feminists mean to say that they are either directly or indirectly connected to a vocabulary which emphasizes on that sexual difference, which emphasizes on the sexual dichotomy, which emphasizes on the particular genders that both women and men are following in a society. Go ahead.
Furthermore, matter and form are not equal partners in Aristotle's metaphysics. Form is better than matter. And since hylomorphism is the conceptual framework that underlies most of Aristotelian theory, from metaphysics and philosophy of mind to biology and literary theory, it looks as if his supposedly universal and objective theories are gendered, and it looks as if his negative characterization of women tarnishes his philosophical theories.
So since hylomorphism is a theory that is basic and fundamental for Aristotle, Aristotle's definition of soul, Aristotle's philosophy, Aristotle's like philosophy means epistemology and ethics, and Aristotle's politics. This is considered as being the fundamental resource from where Aristotle gets his anti-woman standpoint और anti-woman perspective. किसी को कुछ पूछना है यहाँ तक?
Sir, there is someone waiting in the lobby, again the same person, live CID.
Who is this?
I don't know.
Wait. Live CID, तुम अपना चेहरा दिखा सकते हो? कौन हो तुम? He's not even part of a course, or she, I don't know. Who is this? Yeah.
The name was showing as Suraj. Right.
Suraj Ukande is a classmate, sir. वो classmate है
Okay,
हमारा.
but see, all of you are having names. Suraj is not having a name.
First time जब आपने उसको निकाला था ना, उस टाइम उसका नाम था वहाँ पे. अभी नाम नहीं दिख रहा है.
नहीं, तब भी नाम नहीं था, तभी निकाला, और इसका नाम ही उल्टा आ रहा है लाइव CID करके, तो मुझे लगा खामखा में यहाँ क्या करेगा.
Sir, it's in the participants list. His name can be seen clearly.
No, for me it doesn't.
No, for me as well.
For me,
it doesn't show.
He's a CID agent. Okay,
मुझे
Suraj,
अभी
no
वो
worries.
live
Sorry, I removed you. Just what to do? This is all problems with technology. We can't help it, huh? Okay. So, किसी को कुछ पूछना है? Shall we move ahead?
Yes,
sir.
Yeah, go to the next paragraph.
Are Aristotle's theories intrinsically gendered and sexist, so that gender cannot be removed without altering the theories themselves? Several feminist philosophers have developed
So
this
now the
thesis.
question that we want to deal vis-a-vis Aristotle is, if hylomorphism, being a philosophically very fundamental concept for Aristotle, seemingly looks gendered, the matter form dichotomy looks gendered, okay, is it that Aristotle's theories, or Aristotle's, more importantly, Aristotle's theories in politics are gendered? Okay, is it that we cannot remove gender from Aristotle, or the moment we try to remove it, his theories get altered? Okay, several feminists have developed this thesis, and for example, Linda Lang. Yeah.
For example, in Woman is Not a Rational Animal, Linda Lang argues that Aristotle's theory of sex difference is implicated in every piece of Aristotle's metaphysical jargon, and she concludes that it is not at all clear that is Aristotle's theory of sex difference, can simply be cut away without any reflection on the status of the rest of the philosophy.
So there's an article, okay, written by Linda Lang. It's titled "Woman is Not a Rational Animal," where she argues that Aristotle's theory of sex difference, since it is resourced philosophically from hylomorphism, since it has a fundamental foundation in Aristotle, gets implicated. You can figure it out in every piece of Aristotle's theoretical or philosophical position. Okay, and she concludes, okay, that it cannot be cut away. There is no way that you can make Aristotle woman friendly. There is no way. And even since much of the Western philosophy later on is dependent on Aristotle and Plato, here we are only talking about Aristotle, it has got seeped into the rest of philosophy as well. समझ में आ रहा है? Rest of his philosophy and rest of philosophy afterwards Aristotle. Clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Go ahead.
Elizabeth Spellman has argued that Aristotle's politicized metaphysics is reflected in his theory of soul, which in turn is used to justify the subordination of women in the politics.
Okay, go ahead.
And finally, Susan Okin has argued that Aristotle's functionalist theory of form was devised by Aristotle in order to legitimate the political status quo in Athens, including slavery and the inequality of women.
So now, like, if we go into a bit of depth, so subordination of women in politics, that's what we started with. Okay, the quote from Aristotle's Politics that woman is meant to be, she's safe inside the household where she's supreme. Okay, subordination of women to the household is reflected in his theory of soul. Okay, because he differentiates soul, the tripartite division or bipartite division of soul. I don't remember right now exactly. And finally, Suzanne Okin, who is a well-known feminist philosopher, she argues that Aristotle carves out this theory of form itself in order to legitimize the status quo that was prevalent in Athens, including slavery and the inequality of women. And I don't know how many among you have read Aristotle. How many among you have read Aristotle from original text?
Sir, I haven't.
You have read?
No, sir, I haven't.
No one. So at least if you go through book 1, okay, you will figure out that अभी मैं तुम लोग को दिखाता लेकिन तुम लोग को दिखेगा नहीं, लेकिन फिर भी मैं कोशिश करता तुम लोग को दिखाने की. कहाँ गया ये? Yeah, wait a bit. अभी मेरा शक्ल आ गया?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, same.
कहाँ पे है? यहाँ पे एक जगह पे है, मैं वहां पे हाथ रखता हूं. It's titled Slavery as a Natural Pattern. यहाँ पे मेरा हाथ है.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
दिखा?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
usually दिखा क्या?
Slavery
sir.
as a
sir.
part of the universal
Natural
natural pattern.
Okay, so this is Aristotle's politics with me. So दिक्कत क्या है? दिक्कत ये है कि ये slavery is not about slaves. Okay, this slavery is a double slavery. It is the slavery of the slave and the slavery of the woman. Okay, slavery of slave is more problematic. Okay, and slavery of woman, मतलब Aristotle इसका distinction बनाता है slavery का एक तरीके से. Okay, that's why when we began the quote, when we went through the YouTube video which has the quote, so Aristotle says a woman is to man what a slave is to master. समझ में आ रहा है? He makes this distinction. So feminists argue that Aristotle made these distinctions, made the distinction of matter and form, and made it gendered to just go ahead and to just further the status quo that was existing in Athens at that point of time. We are going to deal with it in more depth, but right now, क्योंकि एरिस्टोटल का मुझे लग रहा है कि हम लोग को पढ़ना चाहिए. आगे वापस आ गए हम?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If these scholars are right,
If these scholars are right, then Aristotle's theories are intrinsically biased against women, and it is unlikely that they can have any value for feminists beyond the project of learning about the ways in which the philosophical tradition has devalued women.
if these scholars are right, because it's just an interpretation. Remember, in the beginning, when we had a few lectures or 1 or 2 lectures on the relationship between feminism and philosophy, I told you that there are 2 types of arguments that are being made. One is a radical argument where feminists argue that philosophy and feminism are poles apart. समझ में आ रहा है? And second is where they say that there can be a dialogue. Okay, so those 2 currents you can figure out in this article. So that's the reason that the author of this article is writing that if these scholars are right, you never know whether they are right or not. You cannot conclude that they are right. Okay, so it's open, it's an open-ended debate. If these scholars are right, then Aristotle is intrinsically biased against women and is always also responsible for the way in which we can learn about many perspectives which have led to devaluation or subordination of women, not only within the philosophical tradition, but also within the human history. Go ahead.
Alternatively, Charlotte Witt has argued that the suspect gender associations with Aristotelian matter and form are extrinsic to these concepts and therefore removable from Aristotle's theories without substantially altering them.
So
The
the word is suspect gender association of the concepts of matter and form. Now it depends on us. If we want to gender them, well and good. If we don't want to, एक तरीके से ये open-ended question है. Okay, because Charlotte Witt, who is writing this piece, is herself saying or himself saying that the gender association of the basic metaphysical platform of hylomorphism in Aristotle is suspect. Suspect का मतलब है शक है. जिस तरह पुलिस को किसी पे शक होता है, फिर प्रूव करने में तो बहुत टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन सस्पेक्ट है, ऐसा नहीं है कि क्लीन चिट भी मिला है. Are you getting it? So you have to be very particular about the language. They are not giving Aristotle a clean chit, okay, but they are not even throwing him into jail. समझ में आ रहा है? So it's like a suspect type of a thing. Suspect है, शक की निगाह में है. Okay.
The argument that Aristotle's gender associations are not intrinsic to his concepts of matter, that is female, and form, that is male, turns on the incompatibility of the position that matter is intrinsically female and form intrinsically male, with the position that every composite substance is a unity of matter and form.
Okay, how many many of you know this matter and form now, okay? Because I told you hylomorphism, whether it is intrinsic or extrinsic, is a question that remains to be asked. That is a point of debate. How many among you know this distinction of Purush and Prakriti in Sankhya metaphysics?
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
we know.
Okay, so there are arguments, similar arguments regarding Sankhya's Purush and Prakriti, that Purush is usually male and Prakriti is female, like
Female.
they are sexual or gendered concepts. समझ में आ रहा है? मुझे ध्यान में आया कि मुझे तुम लोग को बताना चाहिए. So it's not only with Aristotle, it's also a case with Indian philosophical tradition as well. I remember I once, while I was doing research around it, I was reading Dayakrishna somewhere. So Dayakrishna raised a beautiful question. He said that since बहुत सारा अभी चल रहा है ये पुरुष और प्रकृति को लेके, लेकिन एक सवाल बनता है, if पुरुष means consciousness, are you getting it? पुरुष का वहां पे मतलब है ना pure consciousness.
Yes, sir.
Then why did the Sankhya tradition not name it as Chit, but named it as Purush? क्योंकि पुरुष नाम देने से ही सारा confusion create होता है. Are you getting it? So if they wanted to clearly de-link or disassociate themselves with the gender notion of Purush and Prakriti, they could have used Chit. But this question remains that they don't use Chit. They, on the other hand, use Purush. समझ में आ रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is a question that Dayakrishna raises, but he can't get an answer. But it's a very valid question that if it means consciousness, संस्कृत में consciousness के लिए बहुत term है, लेकिन वो दूसरा term क्यों नहीं use किया जो थोड़ा gender neutral था, जो gender friendly था, यही use क्यों किया? Same is the case here. That Aristotle का जो gendered notion है वो intrinsic है या extrinsic है, ये एक सवाल बनता है. ठीक है, अब 2500 साल बाद इसमें जूझना बहुत मजे का काम है, लेकिन ये सॉल्व होगा कि नहीं होगा, नॉट गारंटीड. ओके, गो अहेड.
If every composite substance is a complex of matter and form, then each would be a hermaphrodite rather than a male or a female, as is the case with animals.
Okay, go ahead.
Moreover, whatever plausibility gender associations with matter and form might have with regard to animals is lost entirely when we consider artifacts like shoes and beds.
So these are problems that arise when we try to gender or genderize the theory of hylomorphism. Okay, if we consider that matter and form are gendered concepts, then maybe for Aristotle everything should be a hermaphrodite, because if a thing is both matter and form at the same time, then a thing is both male and female at the same time. But right now I think the feminist discourse is able to respond to this question. I'll just briefly delve into it. Okay, you know, there is difference between desire, okay, sexuality and biological sex. Okay, so in a way, if matter and form are gendered concepts, then now there is a possibility for looking for them in both animals beyond the binary. Are you getting it? It may be possible that Muzaffar or some other man is physically or matter oriented a man, but formally he is something else. He's an other. He doesn't follow in the binary of gender. Are you getting it? So अभी के हिसाब से ये सवाल नहीं है, but अभी के हिसाब से इसका मतलब एक response बन सकता है. But let's not go into that. But I'm just giving you an idea. Are you able to get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Because
sir.
इससे पहले ऐसा था कि then it should be a male and female, which is impossible. Okay, because male and female has completely different biological features. But the other zone of gender, which is beyond male and female, that doesn't need particular or peculiar biological gender features. Are you getting it? So those can be fitted into the form. Okay, so matter wise I am a man, but form wise I am a queer or something or something. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, but it's a debate. It's a debate that's going on. Okay, go ahead.
If intrinsic gender associations with matter and form are incompatible with Aristotle's theory of substance, and extrinsic gender associations are compatible with that theory, then the principle of charity dictates that we opt for the consistent interpretation.
So the question that they raise is that whether we make the gendered nature of the concept of matter and form as intrinsic to the concept, कि उसी के अंदर है, या extrinsic, or it is connected, है ना? हमें लग रहा है कि it is somehow connected to the gendered nature of society, gendered nature of politics, gendered nature of marriage as an institution. That is easier. That's an interpretation. Okay. So when you consider it extrinsically, that's a hermeneutic exercise. But if it is intrinsic, then we have to prove that no, it is the case in Aristotle, which is very difficult. ओके सो एक्सट्रिंसिक वाइज हो सकता है, जैसे मैंने कल के लेक्चर में तुम लोग को माइंड एंड बॉडी का दिखाया, दैट हाउ माइंड बॉडी ड्यूअलिज्म gets reproduced. So that's an interpretation, that's a hermeneutic exercise. Okay, you won't get it in a text. It is just that we are doing feminism, we are able to reproduce it. We are trying to put some external characteristic on mind which mind does not have. ओके माइंड का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक वेस्ट नहीं है, जैसे मैंने कल दिखाया, माइंड का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक मैन नहीं है, पर जिस तरीके से मैन के आसपास, द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ मैन के आसपास चीजें होती चली आ रही हैं, उससे लगता है कि दैट मैन इज ऑलमोस्ट इक्विवेलेंट टू माइंड. जिस तरीके से वेस्ट के थ्योरेटिकल फ्रेमवर्क के आसपास चीजें होती आ रही है, उस तरह से ऐसा लग रहा है कि जियोपॉलिटिकल सिनेरियो में और ग्लोबल एकेडमिक सिनेरियो में वेस्ट इज ऑलमोस्ट बिहेविंग लाइक द माइंड ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. आर यू गेटिंग इट? सो that's when you go into the external characteristics, extrinsic associations, you can put those on them. Okay, you are free to do that, and that's what research consists of. Go ahead.
Recent work on sexism in Aristotle's philosophy focuses on his theory of animal reproduction in the biology. To what extent and in what ways is Aristotle's theory of animal regeneration sexist? A related issue concerns how Aristotle's view of sexual difference in the biology is connected to his ideas about sexual difference in
this
the
is the most important for us. Okay, that one of the issues is that how Aristotle's view of sexual difference in biology makes him carve out a sexual difference in politics, because for him only man is meant for politics, woman is not meant for politics. Is it that woman is biologically different, so she is not eligible for politics, or is it that there is something else much deeper, is a question that we need to delve into. समझ में आ रहा है?
Yes, sir.
ओके, किसी को कुछ पूछना है अभी तक?
No, sir.
So I was thinking of doing the synoptic method as well, but we'll finish it tomorrow. Synoptic method is important. If you read it, क्योंकि वो खत्म नहीं होगा, वो अगले 10 मिनट में तो खत्म होने नहीं वाला है. So it's better that we do it tomorrow, and next week we start with another topic. But if I do a quick recap of what we did in the past 2 days. Yesterday, I told you that the mind-body dualism can be reproduced as if it reflects the dualism of man and woman. मैंने वो समझाया. Okay, फिर मैंने ऐसे ही, जो कि अभी हमारे फेमिनिज्म के कोर्स के साथ इट्स नॉट डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड, मैंने उसको रिप्रोड्यूस करके ये भी दिखाया कि किस तरीके से ग्लोबल सिनेरियो में वेस्ट और ईस्ट, ऑक्सीडेंट और ओरिएंट, फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड और थर्ड वर्ल्ड के डिफरेंसेस भी एक तरीके से माइंड बॉडी ड्यूअलिज्म के साथ रिलेट करते हैं. आज हमने क्या किया? आज हमने उसका तीसरा ऐड किया. ठीक है, तीसरा ऐड किया कि फेमिनिस्ट स्कॉलर्स को लग रहा है कि एरिस्टोटल का थ्योरी ऑफ हाइलोमॉर्फिज्म, व्हिच इज बेस्ड ऑन मैटर फॉर्म ड्यूअलिज्म, इज gendered, where matter stands for woman and form stands for
For male.
Man.
man. Okay, so this is the third one. So we have now two philosophical categories, two essential philosophical categories, the mind and body and the matter and form. The mind and body belonging to René Descartes and the matter and form belonging to Aristotle, which can be read in a feminist perspective or from a feminist perspective. We'll go into the synoptic approach tomorrow and we'll try to figure out how the synoptic approach, synopticism is a methodology, okay? How synoptic methodology or the approach of synoptics helps feminists to reread the history of philosophy, okay? That will be done tomorrow. अभी किसी को कुछ पूछना है?
Yes, sir. I had this question that when we look at Aristotle's form and matter as a gendered notion, then they explained that like the form form is like a man, and but the matter
Is like
matter is like a yeah. So was there any other like by Aristotle, was there acceptance of this hermaphrodite idea of form and matter?
No. Actually, like from the perspective of feminism, these are just interpretations, okay? And these are the problems that prop up. समझ में आ रहा है? I don't remember when, like, I'm not sure whether you remember or not. Last year when we were doing Plato, so what was the basic problem for Plato? Plato's problem was, where does goodness lie? Where does morality of an action lie? Does it lie inside the action or does it lie outside the action? And to prove that, he does this experiment of ring of Gyges. याद आया?
Yes, sir.
नहीं याद आ रहा तुम लोग को, बहुत भूल चुके हो तुम लोग. समझ में आ रहा है? So this is an issue, same issue in a different way is reflected here. Is this gendered nature intrinsic to the concept? Like, is it carved into the concept of mind and matter and form? If it is, then there are certain problems which arise. Since there is no way to respond to those problems, so the better way to read Aristotle from a feminist perspective is to go for a hermeneutic exercise of associating this matter and form with our social context and trying to figure out that हाँ एरिस्टोटल का लग रहा है कि ये कहीं ना कहीं एंटी वुमेन है. उसके मतलब अब मैटर एंड फॉर्म जो है, क्योंकि these are metaphysical concepts, whether in reality these concepts are essentially जो हम बोल रहे हैं कि sexist is a difficult question to answer. It's a very difficult question. इसीलिए मैंने सांख्य का एग्जाम्पल दिया और बोला कि दया कृष्णा ने खाली इतना सवाल पूछ पाया वो कि क्या ऐसा है कि अगर खाली पुरुष कॉन्शियसनेस है, इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन. इफ पुरुष only means pure consciousness, then why should we not name it Chit? Okay, why was it not named Chit? So similar is the case here. If it was sexist, if it is sexually oriented intrinsically, there is no way for us to delve into the problems that arise out of that. But when we like interpret it in a feminist way, then we are a bit free. एक स्कॉलर को उतना फ्रीडम मिलता है कि वो उसको जोड़ दे, जैसे हमने कल माइंड बॉडी को जोड़ा. Have I been able to respond a bit?
Yes, sir.
किसी और को?
Yes, sir.
किसी और को कुछ पूछना है? No? So
No, sir.
yeah, so we'll meet tomorrow at 3, okay, and we'll continue this. And then later on we'll move to the proper readings. Maybe मैंने कल बोला है तुम लोग को कि 3 में से 1 का हम प्रॉपर रीडिंग करेंगे. बट हम अभी इसके बाद अभी अंडर रिप्रेजेंटेशन पे मेरा एक लेक्चर जाएगा मंडे को, और उसके बाद हम थर्ड क्रेडिट का 4-5 लेक्चर में खत्म कर देंगे. लेकिन पहले हम पहला टॉपिक और तीसरा टॉपिक खत्म करेंगे क्रेडिट 3 का, और बीच वाला टॉपिक जो कि बड़ा है और कनेक्टेड रहेगा उसको लास्ट में डील करेंगे. ओके
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I'll stop the recording. All the best, and we'll meet tomorrow at 3.
Okay, sir. Bye. Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
very much, sir.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, sir.